You are listening to the Will Power Podcast. Welcome to the show. I am Will Holdren, and I talk with some of the most influential CEOs, entrepreneurial leaders, and thought leaders to reveal the secrets that have led to their success. I believe that with the right knowledge and mindset, you can do anything you say your mind to. So if you want to learn how to change your life for the better, if you want to learn how millionaires actually became wealthy, or if you want to develop and start your own business from the ground up with the right knowledge to help you, then you are in the right place because this is the Willpower Podcast. How's it going, everyone? My name is Will Holdren. I am the host of the Willpower Podcast. Today we have an incredible entrepreneur based out of the Philly marketplace, and his name is Herman Dolce Jr. And Herman is the founder of a company called Bella Sloan Enterprises. And what they do is they actually go out and help teach financial literacy for other entrepreneurs that are coming up and want to make it big, which is amazing. On top of that, he is a business and credit funding expert. He's also a speaker. He was on TEDx, also featured in Yahoo Finance. So I'm really happy to have his experience here on this podcast and kind of share with you guys everything he's learned about his career and obviously all the stuff he's helping teach his clients as well. So first and foremost, Herman, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Will, for having me on your platform and trusting me to talk to your audience. That means a lot to me. I'm humbled by it all.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. Like I mentioned, I think financial literacy is such a huge component of life, and especially in business, if you're an entrepreneur, you need to understand the fundamentals. And you have a very impressive resume. I saw you currently are serving over 2,500 clients, right? And you guys have
Yes.
helped graduate over 1,500 students. So you guys are making a large footprint, a large imprint out there, which is awesome. So congrats on that.
Thank you so much. It means a lot to me.
Yeah. So to start out, I want to ask you a question I ask all of my guests, which is one, what makes you want to take time out of your busy day to hop on podcasts like these to really go out there and just share your story for people to listen to it?
To be honest, I think the answer is in the question to get out there and tell people my story, number one. Number two, I felt on Instagram, the Instagram algorithm, I was talking to the same people. And I wanted to get my message out to new platforms, new people who wasn't getting this word about financial literacy. And you were just one of the amazing avenues that I decided to come to. In addition to like right now, we're in grade schools, we're in high schools, we're in colleges, because I felt that the reason why a lot of adults are struggling with financial literacy when it comes to credit funding their businesses is because it wasn't taught to them when they were younger. So we started going to colleges and we was like, well, maybe we can go to high schools. And then I really started thinking about it. People who are really wealthy, they started teaching their children this in grade school or even younger about financial literacy. Just, give them $1, but they tell them to put 10 cents away, just giving good habits. But, willing your platform and your podcast was another avenue that I can get my word out. And I like talk about like preaching it like the gospel, just get it out to as many people as possible.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited to listen to it. And you're obviously doing things for the right reasons, which is really cool to also see for entrepreneur.
Right.
Would be good. So tell me about your background a little bit. How did you get involved with entrepreneurship starting out? Were you always entrepreneurial growing up, or how did you come into this?
Thought this was a 30-minute podcast. I don't think we have that
Yeah.
much time to that long story. So I'm born in Brooklyn, Philly raised me. My family's from the beautiful island of Haiti. I'm first generation. And just to fast forward to it a little bit, my wife got pregnant. I'm married to her for 11 years. She got pregnant with Bella, my firstborn baby, and we went to Italy for a baby moon. And to the listeners who don't know what a baby moon is, that's the first trip. Is the first trip you take or the last trip you take, however you want to put it, before the kid comes, because your life is never going to be the same. So we went to Italy. We spent 9 days there. Went to Rome, Venice, Amalfi Coast. It was just beautiful. Vatican City. We went everywhere, and I got back home. And of course, I had no any more vacation time. I was a social worker making $35,900, right?
Wow.
And I was telling my brother, like, damn, Bella's gonna be here in a month or two, and I'm not ready. I don't have any more days. And he was like, listen, unless you own your own business, unless you own your own, you'll never be free. So I was like, what am I gonna do? Like get into real estate like everybody else is, like on HGTV and flip the houses. I was like, I don't want to go down that road. He's like, that credit thing that you do. He's like, start charging people for it. I was like, no, that's really important stuff. Like people really need that stuff, that information. And he's like, no, bro. Then he said his second one liner. They're going to pay somebody, they might as well pay you.
Mm.
I was like, wow. I was like, you're totally right. So I called up 10 of my friends. I was like, let me fix your credit for free. They was like, cool. Screenshot all the receipts because success has receipts is one of my taglines. Started posting it on Instagram, started charging people 100, $200. And then Bella Sloan Enterprises was born. And that's how we started working on people's credit. Went to YouTube University to learn more about credit in the early days. And then I tripped on business credit and business funding. And that just opened my eyes and my business to more things, because now you're talking about we can get people 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 in funding just because they got a business and good credit. Oh, that was it. When you're able to get people access to capital, you're everybody's best friend. And that's where we blew up. We got a bunch of different platforms, as you know, TEDx, and it went crazy from there. And we've been doing really well now. And now we have a financial literacy arm. In addition to the credit and the funding, the financial literacy arm is called Bella Sloan Academy, where we have over 2,500. No, we're up to 3,000 now. 3,000 mentees every week. We meet up every Wednesday night. We meet up with the mentees, different coaches learning different things, and it's been absolutely amazing.
Wow, that is remarkable, and I love the name Bella Sloan Enterprise. Now I know it's obviously from your daughter, right? So
Yes, absolutely.
that's what sparked it. So that's very cool, man. And yeah, I think the whole credit realm, like you said, is just it's a mystery to a lot of people, and a lot of people don't understand all the things they can do with it, whether it's business credit or fixing up a personal credit, and what good can really come out of that. So
Absolutely.
when you were talking to your brother and you decided to take that jump, and those first 10 clients were your friends, you wanted to help them out for free. And from there,
Mhm.
it sparked it, right? At that point, did you quit your social working job and go into this full time with a kid on the way?
Absolutely not, and I'm glad you asked that question because Instagram and everything makes everything look so beautiful. Entrepreneurship is really hard.
Yeah.
Running a business is really hard. Not having systems and teams around you to help scale is really hard. So no, while I was a social worker, bro, I was literally taking phone calls in the closet. Hello, Bella Stone Enterprises, how can I help you? Because I have a full-time job. And what I did, bro, is as I started making revenue for my business, the first thing I did was pay off all my debt,
Mm,
right? That's the first thing I did. Once I paid off all my debt, then I saved up 6 months of money, like bills, right? For 6 months. And then I was like, you know what? Let me save up a year's worth of money. So then I saved up a year's worth of money. Then I decided, I was like, you know what? I have enough money saved up. I can quit. Because if I don't make another dollar from Bella Sloan Academy, the umbrella company. If I don't make another dollar, I have a year's worth of money saved up to survive. I didn't
yeah.
have any kids, like so. I was like, I think. Well, I did have a kid, but I think we'll be fine. Because then my second born came, and after, listen, funny story. The moment I made the decision to quit my job, I told my boss. I put in my 2 weeks notice. The next day, my wife was like, "Oh, I'm pregnant." So that was like super scary, and I couldn't turn
Talk
back. I was
about
like, "Listen,
pressure, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah." I was like, I'm all in at this point. But no, I didn't quit immediately. I had a nice cushion. I had a nice savings. I have an amazing family support. My mom helps with my daughter and my amazing wife and sister. So to my entrepreneurs out there that are listening, be patient, save your money, pay off your debt,
Yeah.
and then think about if it makes sense to quit your job.
Yeah, I love that too. You brought it up. You want to save 6 months to a year's worth of expenses, so you have a little
Mhm.
cushion, right? Just because entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. It's going to be
Roller
up.
coaster.
And
Right,
I'm
right, right.
curious, how long did it take you to save up that year's worth of savings that you were talking
Oh,
about?
at least 3 years.
Right.
Because
So
yeah,
not something
because
that happens overnight or a couple months or even a
yeah.
year.
Oh, no, no. It
Yeah.
was it was definitely 3 years, and you remember the money that I was getting in my mind was just, "Okay, I got to I have a second job, a side hustle." Because usually people Uber, they deliver pizza, they do whatever their second job was. This was my second job, and that's how I thought about it.
Yeah.
I have 2 jobs, and then I started really taking understanding that I need to take this from a second job to a real business and running it as such, and that's when I hired a assistant, then we got a CEO, and then now I'm just the founder, and I rip and run and talk on different platforms to do lead generation, basically.
Yeah. That's awesome. So obviously you jumped into helping people fix up their credit, and that was kind of the initial niche that you went into. So walk me
Mhm.
through, what are some of the misconceptions that people have with their credit scores, and why do people struggle obviously to increase their credit? And what are some of the biggest and most successful strides that you've seen to help people kind of flip their credit upside down to be in a much better position?
The biggest myth is a 700 credit score is the goal. A 700 credit score is part of the goal because you can have one credit card with a $500 limit and have a 700 credit score, right? If the card is old enough, right? Or you can have two or three credit cards that are 5 years old, $10,000 each limit. You have a car, you have student loans, and you have a mortgage. That profile, I like to tell people, looks much sexier to a bank because your credit report is your adult report card. Banks like to see that you are responsible with money and responsible with debt. So you have that car note, you're paying off every month, you've never been late, looks great. You have a mortgage, you have not one credit card, but you have several, and you're keeping the balances low. That type of profile, I can go to with your in combination with your LLC. I can go to another lender, be like, yo, can you give this guy some money? And they'll give you 40, 50, 60, $100,000, way higher limits for the business side because business credit cards are much higher. So that's the first misconception. The second misconception is avoiding taking care of your bills or credit cards is actually more detrimental. So people just don't like to look at the hard numbers because numbers don't lie to you.
Mhm.
So once you're late on your credit report or you get a collection and you're ignoring those phone calls, not addressing it can be more detrimental. And third, I would like to say when people say investing, I don't like saying paying for credit repair, but investing and fixing your credit with your time or your money is actually more expensive for you not to fix it. For example, if you have a 550 credit score, a 600 credit score, and you go get a Toyota Camry, you're going to pay $700 a month for 5 years versus somebody who has good credit, 700 credit score, they're paying 350.
Mm.
So that $1,000, $2,000 you was going to spend on that you didn't spend on getting your credit fixed literally is costing you $30,000 in interest. And that's just the car note. We're not talking about credit cards or when you get a mortgage. Your life is more expensive when you don't fix your credit.
Yeah. And all great points right there. And obviously I've heard about this topic a lot. I think there's a lot of misconceptions around this too. And one of the things that I'm curious about is what is the ideal number of credit cards a person should have? Is it one? Is it two? Is it more than two? Or like
It
what
is
would be
it
ideal?
is between 3 and 5.
Okay.
3 and 5 credit cards. Me, I like to lean towards 3. Anything more than that, especially in the platforms that I teach, people get lost. Herman said 5. No, 3 credit cards is what you need. Once you get those 3, the older they are, the higher the limits are gonna be, the stronger your profile is, because age matters too, how old your credit is. So I have an 836 credit score. It's only because I got my first credit card when I was 17. So my
Mhm.
credit profile is really, really, really old. But getting to that 700 credit score and having a good profile is good, but you only need 3.
So why do banks or why do they care more that you have three more than like one or all these credit card companies?
Again, it's just them seeing that you are able to carry, leverage, protect X amount of debt. And you're not in the debt, but being able to manage that money, whether you're using it or not, they want
Yeah.
to see that you've had it, you've never been late, because that gives you access to more capital. It gives you access to the bigger mortgage. If this thing, I always tell people, think how banks do. If you only have a $500 credit card, why would I give you a 300, $400,000 mortgage? You've never had balance anything like that before. So
Right.
that's why I was telling you earlier, it was really important that we start talking to younger people. So I go into colleges and I tell them, hey, get your first $1,000 credit card and pay net use it for Netflix and just put it on auto pay just to build up your credit. You'll thank me later when you're 21, 22, and you're trying to get your first car or whatever the case may be, protecting, leveraging, and growing your credit.
Yeah. No doubt, and I think that all makes sense, and I think a lot of people that I know anyway, they have one credit card and they're not really making it optimal to get a higher credit rating. Obviously, like you mentioned, you want to be 3 to 5, and that'll
Mhm.
help your credit score in the long run. So,
Right.
so walk me through if someone has a lower credit score, like 500, 600, something around there. What are the main things you're telling them to do to increase your credit score? I mean, is it really just paying your bills on time, or is there something behind the scenes that's going on to help them get a higher score, or what goes on there?
So a couple of things. Number one, you remember your report card, your credit report is your adult report card. So when I see a lot of late payments, charge-offs, or collections, it tells me that you're not good with money. So you're bad with budgeting, or you've gone through a rough patch, and like you lost your job or something, and you had to feed your family instead of paying the credit cards. And I totally get it, but that also goes back to you didn't have savings, right? So it goes back to money management at the end of the day. So that's the first thing I address is money management. before I start to really talking about fixing your credit. Number two, paying it down your debt is super important because when you max out your credit cards, that actually takes your credit down. Maxing out your credit report makes up 30% of your credit profile. The 35% of it is if you're late or not. So that's 65%, just those two things right there. So we address those two things. So if you have late payments on your credit report or collections, charge-offs, things like that, we teach people how to actually use AI to fix their credit now. So I can go into ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT, can you please act like a credit repair specialist and create 3 rounds of letters for me, where I can dispute a collection on my credit report using the FCRA. And those are the laws that are governed for the protection of consumers like us. So like the most basic one is a 609. That one is where the credit agency have to investigate negative items on your credit report, for them to dispute it. And literally, ChatGPT would write out the 3 rounds of letters, and you just send one out every single month. Hey, ChatGPT, I got some collections from such and such. Can you give me some letters on how to do that? And they'll give you the laws and the stuff to write out. Or you can call the credit bureaus, be like, hey, I sent you the letter. I see this negative item on my credit report. You've never verified that about this bad debt or whatever the case may be, is without having a whole class right now. And they're supposed to delete it by law within 30 days if they don't give you proof. So there's different strategies that we use in the credit repair to clean up your credit because it's just worth it. Either you're going to pay somebody to do it or you're going to pay with your time by doing it for free and going to YouTube University.
Right. Yeah, YouTube
Mhm.
University is very underrated, people
Underrated.
go into
Yes.
that.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to jump into the business side of things now for a little bit. I know you work with a lot of entrepreneurs and you help them
Mhm.
with proper business setup. And you were just talking about before, someone opening up an LLC, it's important to get cash, it's important to get funding starting out for them. And you can kind of help them, direct them in a way where you can get, 40 grand, 50 grand from a bank. So walk me
Mhm.
through how that process really works for people and what you're really teaching them about when you're first going out to structure their company or LLC.
So, so to get maximize how much funding you can get, there's a couple of pillars. Number one, we talked about a little bit of it. Having over a 680 credit score, but I really want you to be 700 is the first pillar. Number two is having your credit profile structured properly. Number three is having your business set up properly. Now, what banks like to see, again, like I said a little bit earlier in the pod, is um, think like banks do. So they want to see that the business is real and it's set up legitimately and sexy. So having a real business name. So you see over here, Bella Sloan Enterprises. That's the first thing. Number two, my business address is not my home address because I want to look legitimate to a business, to a bank. So my business has a real commercial address. Herman, I don't have money for rent or anything like that. I'm a startup company. Well, what you can do is just Google the phrase registered agent and your zip code. And it'll give you a bunch of business addresses that are in your area that you can use or rent out for pennies. When I mean pennies. Like a registered agent in Philadelphia costs $50 per year, right? So it's literally pennies a day. So now your business has a real business address. You want to have a real business phone number. You can go to Google Voice or you can go to Ring Central and get a real business phone number, not your cell phone number. When you're feeling not giving my cell phone number anyway, but I have a real 1-800 number to give them so I look real and legitimate. So the other thing is you want to have a real business website and you want to have a real business email. My email is info@bellastoneenterprises.com. The website is bellastoneenterprise.com. So I look legitimate. I look real. So when my business is structured properly like that, and I walk into a bank with my good credit profile and my 700 credit score, it's easy, 25,000 dollars in funding, and that's just from one bank, right? Because I'm structured properly. So you want your business to be structured properly to get as much funding as possible.
That's very interesting. So when you're talking about structuring a business properly, it's not just going out there and creating an LLC, right? Or like
Yes,
that's
it's not just that. Yeah, a
it's
little bit
more
more
about
detail.
the fundamentals. So banks are really looking into if you have a 1-800 number, if you have a business email address. That's interesting. I did not realize
Yeah,
that.
think about it. I'm gonna give you because remember the lines are much bigger. So I'm gonna give you 30, $40,000, but you work out of your basement. You don't have a real business phone number. Where's your website? Like you want me to give you this much money to do what with? You're not a you don't look established because remember this is unsecured money. So you got to give them some type of security that they feel their money that they're going to give to you is safe. And you giving this presentation that the business is structured properly and you're going to be doing something constructive that helps them and give them more ease, especially to the underwriter in combination with your good credit to give you as much capital as possible. Now I'm not going to sit here and say you're not going to get any money. but you're going to get a lot less money if your business isn't structured properly.
Yeah. Now, what kind of interest rates have you seen that banks would give to you? I mean, is it what's current Fed rates are, or is it, like a hard money loan rate where it's high 10%, high teen percent, or what does that look like?
So it varies. So with business credit cards, which I push a lot, is great. It's easy to get that great startup capital, 0% interest for up to a year. What does that mean? What does 0% mean? You have a $25,000 credit card. The monthly payment on that is going to be technically 1%. They have to give you a minimum. So that means you're going to be paying $250 a month. You have a $30,000 credit card and you max it out, it's going to cost you $300 a month. If I give you $30,000 and you're not able to make $300 a month, entrepreneurship is not for you, right? Now, of course, these 0% interest credit cards last 12, 18 months. The Wells Fargo Reflect credit card, I think that one lasts like 21 months. It's like ridiculously long. So those are and then after that, those interest rates go crazy. They go to 20, 25%. Credit cards have the highest interest rates. When it comes to lines of credit or loans, it's definitely the Fed rate plus whatever the bank charges extra, right? So if the Fed is at 6%, the bank is going to put their 3%, and that line of credit or that loan is going to cost you 9%. So it varies depending on where the Fed is.
Gotcha. So when we were talking about before about having the business email, a business website, is that correlated with getting a business credit card for a certain amount, or is that correlated with getting an actual business loan for a certain amount?
So again, that varies. So if you want to get a business credit card, they're going to look at your personal credit report to see if you've ever had a credit card. So they're
Right.
going to look at those credit card profiles primarily, be like, oh, he's had 20, 30, $40,000 in total credit cards and he's done well with them. We can give him 50, 60,000, 80,000. It's not a big deal. They usually 3x it on the business side about what you have on the personal. Now, when it comes to loans and lines of credit, that's a little bit more difficult to get because that's where it takes the startup people out the way because they're looking at
The business.
your tax, your business revenue, and banks usually the rule of thumb is they like to give you 10% of your business revenue. So if you made a $500,000 last year, you're gonna get $50,000 from one bank. How I get 100, $200,000 like I post on Instagram is I go to another bank and I give them the same paperwork and I get more funding.
Gotcha. Gotcha. So then technically they're loans. So the 100 grand you're talking about on Instagram, that's coming from separate loans, not actually just credit card amounts that they're giving you.
Right. So if you
Okay.
see me posting, hey, I got a client 100,000, most likely it was probably 30,000 in credit cards, 50,000 in a line of credit, and $20,000 loan. Now there's certain clients where I got $100,000 and it was $100,000 from 4 or 5 different banks that are totaling credit cards because it was probably a startup company and he just leveraged his good credit to get that type of capital at 0%.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I think people definitely need to be leveraging that, because
Yeah, 100%. And you're in real estate, so a lot of entrepreneurs that start up, they'll come to me, they'll get their first 20, $25,000 credit card, and they leverage that for the down payment for the hard money loan because they got to put 20 up to 20% down, 10% down. Now they have that 20% down that's only costing them $200 a month. And then now they're able to get the hard money to complete the deal. They do the draws, pay off the credit cards, what they need to do. And now they're literally in real estate with no money out their pocket.
right, right. And that's interesting. And I think a lot of people when they're trying to start a business, they have the mindset where I need to go out, I need to find a partner who has
Mm,
cash and generate
cash.
capital that way. But here it's
Right,
a
right.
different scenario where if you have your credit on lock in a good position, you can kind of go to the bank and get funds that way and start out
And
that way.
get funds that way. Yeah. And to your listeners, bro, I definitely speak about mentorship a lot. Definitely not going to tell anybody to get out there, go get this type of money without a business plan or a plan of action. But
Yeah.
even more, having a mentor. So imagine, I'm not telling Will to do this, but I'm gonna put you on the spot. But imagine somebody calls like, "Hey, Will, I got $30,000. I need a mentor. Can we partner on a deal?" And you would tell them, like, listen, put the down payment on this property. Me, will get the hard money. And then now you have hands on of you flipping your first property because the risk is lower to that person coming to you because you're partnering with somebody who knows what they're doing and didn't just watch a season of flipping houses on HGTV.
Right. Right. It's a
Yeah.
way more productive way of doing that.
Way
Yeah.
more productive, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, no, man, that makes a lot of sense. I think people definitely need to be on top of that, and like I said, I think it's a huge misconception that people just don't understand, the ways you can go out there and do that. Now,
Right.
now when you're going to different banks, I mean, if you get say a $25,000 line of credit from one bank, you go bank hopping to another bank, that
Mhm.
second bank is going to look at the first line of credit you got from the first bank, correct? And that might cause some issues, or have you seen anything along those lines?
Will, are you ready for the sauce? Are you ready for the game
I'm
to
ready
tell you how
for
I'm
it.
gonna do it? All right, I'm gonna tell your audience this. So number one, understanding where banks pull the inquiry from to run your credit is the secret sauce to getting as much money as possible. Let me break it down for you. I know that American Express pulls from Experian, right? So boom, 25,000. I got a great credit profile, my business set up. That's 25 grand. Then I'm gonna take my client to Navy Federal. I know Navy Federal pulls from TransUnion. So Navy Federal is going to pull my credit report, look at TransUnion. They're not going to know I just got the inquiry because they don't check Experian. Let's just say they gave me another 25. I'm up 50 grand. Then I go to my third bank, and this is all one day. Then I go to what's in Georgia? Truist.
Yeah.
Truist is in Georgia, Atlanta, and they pull from Equifax. I know that for a fact. Boom, I got myself another 25,000. So literally in a day's work, I raised myself $75,000, 0% interest. If I max them out tomorrow, that's $750 a month I need to come up with. That's how I leverage that information. Herman, how do you know where all these banks pull from? Number one, you can call and ask them. Number two, you can go to a website called Credit Boards, creditboards.com, and they give you all the information. It's a group community where everybody gets credit cards, and they say, hey, I have a 700 credit score. I got the Wells Fargo, and I got $8,000 credit card. So it's an amalgamation of all this database of this information. That's a great website. So understanding where banks pull from is how you leverage and get these big limits.
You're right, man. That is the secret sauce right there.
Right.
That was a good hit. They're good
It was
hit.
a good one. This is a good
That
one.
was a
I
good
wish
one.
everybody could see your face right now. You was like, wait a minute. I think he's
Yeah,
on to
that
something.
was it,
Right.
man. That's the secret sauce right there.
That's the
But
secret sauce right there. Yeah.
that's crazy to think about. So when you go to that first bank and they pull from this specific credit,
Hmm.
Equifax, whatever you call it, whatever it is,
Yeah.
Experian,
Hmm.
and you go to another bank later, those credit reports don't update simultaneously? Or I'm
So even if they did update simultaneously, so the moment you get an inquiry, it shows up on your credit report immediately. So
Mhm.
the moment I went to American Express and got a platinum card, there was an inquiry on my Experian credit report immediately. But when I went to Navy Federal and they pull from TransUnion, remember they only look at TransUnion. So even though the inquiry is there on my Experian, they don't see it because they're not looking for it. So they don't know that the American Express credit card even exists because they're not even looking at the other credit bureaus. When I go to Truist and they pull from Equifax, they don't know I just got 50,000 or I got two inquiries. They don't know because they're only looking at the Equifax credit report.
Okay, that's interesting. So fast
Mhm.
forward, let's say in this situation, fast forward a month. You go to these four banks, you get four different credit cards. Fast forward a month. Now you
Mhm.
have all four of these credit cards. I mean, what's the bank's response now when they find out
So,
this is
so
all
here,
happening?
oh no, so remember, the banks are never gonna in the future look. Here's the thing with business credit cards: they don't report to your personal credit report. So that's the other beauty of it, right? Especially for people in real estate, my other entrepreneurs, you max out on the personal side, it'll show up on your credit report and your credit scores tank,
Mhm.
right? On the business side, that debt doesn't show up in anywhere. That's number one. Number two, you got the money already. Navy Federal is not going to look at your credit report after that to be like, oh, you got money. We're taking it back. That's not how it works.
Okay.
Number three, my mentees, we show them how to fix their credit. So removing the inquiries off of all three credit bureaus, that's another long class, is another way to increase your funding again. Because guess what I'm going to do? Now that all those inquiries are gone, I'm going to go to Chase because Chase pulls from Experian. Then I'm going to go to Sun East Coast. That's a credit union out west. They pull from TransUnion. Then I'm going to go to Citizens Bank. They pull from Equifax. So you could just next month you can go get yourself another round of funding if you needed to. Use credit wisely, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody that's on this call, get yourself a mentor and make sure you have a business plan. Small disclaimer on this amazing podcast.
Appreciate you dropping it in there because I think people listeners like, oh, I can go out and get 100 grand each month
Yeah,
if I wanted to.
yeah.
Credit card.
Herman said on Will's podcast, right?
Yeah,
So you want to make
exactly.
sure you give these disclaimers, bro.
Yeah. But the point is like people need to understand how this stuff works, you know what I mean? Because there's ways to like build a business around this and get
Yes.
like you said, don't go out there and just go out there and do this now. Like develop a plan, idea, business plan,
Yeah.
what you gotta do to really get a deeper
Yeah.
understanding of how this stuff works. But
Exactly.
there's ways.
Can I,
There's ways.
can I give you a better disclaimer?
Yeah.
So this is a really good one. So my good mentor, Storm Leroy, he's deep in real estate, developing real estate all over the world. He told me something that I always stuck with me, and I think he trademarked it. Your job is your first business partner. As I kind of told you in the beginning, first I paid off my debt, then I saved up my money. So what happened is my job, when I started my business, I didn't take on any debt. I work 9 to 5. Then from 5 to 10 p.m., I'm working on my business. And that capital I put back into the business and the business grew. So I have a proof of concept. I'm like, oh my God, this works. If I had more money, that gasoline, if I could put gasoline on it, I could 10x this. That's when I went to my second business partner, which is American Express. Hello, American Express. I got good credit. I got a good business. With the little $200-300 I'm making every week, if I can 10x that by getting 10 or 25,000 from you, it'll grow into a six-figure business. So your second business partner should be these banks and lenders, but you should first bet on yourself by taking your own capital, risk your own money first when you're first starting off in the infancy of your business. And if it works, then you go raise capital.
Yeah, it's a very good point. Very good
Mhm.
point. Just have a good backing there. I love that. Your job is your first business partner.
Business partner. Yep. hmm
That's well said. Well, yeah, man, this is awesome. I think you shared a lot of great stuff today. I can't believe the time's already up. This might have to do a part two for this, but
I'm here for you whenever you need me, Will.
yeah, but that's awesome, man. I got a couple more questions for you. One,
Mhm.
looking forward, obviously, you've come so far from starting your own thing to now having your own academy where you're teaching really thousands of students and changing thousands of lives. So
Mhm.
congrats on that. But like going forward from here, what are your main goals that you hope to get accomplished in the next couple of years?
To be honest, my exit is to turn Bella Sloan Academy into a nonprofit. I want it to be free.
Mhm.
So everyone can get this financial literacy because we have amazing coaches that come on and we pay them when they come on. And I would like for it to be absolutely and totally free, just like public school is free, because they're not going to teach financial literacy in school. Well, this is a place where you can come and get financial literacy. And this is just one business I do. Another business I do is, I dabble and dabble in real estate. I'm going to get heavier in that in 2025, opening up group homes across the country. So that those are my end goals. That's my exit, my 8 9 figure exit for myself, and that's my goal to be when I turn 50. But still, the passion of what funded my future, which is Bella Sloan Enterprises, the Bella Sloan Academy. I like to make it something that is available to the community for free.
Awesome. I love that. All great causes, man. That's cool.
Yes,
Very cool to see.
absolutely.
So my last question for you is there anything else you'd like to say? And if people want to reach out to you, how can they go about finding you and also the academy and get started with the academy?
Um, I like to end with a couple of taglines that I have. Number one, success has receipts, right? I know in the entrepreneur space, the internet entrepreneur space, it is very easy to get caught up in the Rolexes, the Corvettes, the private jets, right? It's because you're working your 9 to 5 and you're like, oh my God, I want to be like that. But the receipt of something that can be rented is not a receipt at all. So I do have a Rolex. I do have a Corvette. I don't have a private jet, but I don't post those things because that's not what you want. You want good credit. So I post the receipts of my mentees fixing their own credit or of me fixing somebody's credit. I post a screenshot of, hey, Herman, thank you so much. I got $30,000 in funding for my business. I really appreciate you. Those are true receipts. And that'll keep everybody from getting scammed when it comes to this entrepreneur world and you're trying to find a mentor because people are always trying to find a mentor. Number two is audit your circle. This is another tagline that I have. Ensuring that you're encircling yourself with the right people that can take you to the next level are super important, right? And I know you guys, you've heard this. To tell me the 5 people around you. I tell you what's going to happen to you next. So I surrounded myself with millionaires because I wanted to become a millionaire. My parents weren't millionaires, so they were one of the first people I had to fire outside of my circle. I love them to death, but they couldn't take me to where I needed to go. So that was super important for me to be. But I love to teach. This is absolutely my passion because it is a life changing and it has set me free. And if I could ever be of service to anybody or they just want to get some more information, they could check me out on my Instagram, Haitian, Haitiin, Haitian _ CEO on Twitter, on Instagram, and TikTok. But a great place where I can give a lot, and I give a lot of free game, a lot of information on there. But I only got 90 seconds. But you could check me out on my YouTube where I teach for hours. I do 2 hour long classes absolutely for free. So you don't even have to sign up for Bella Sloan Academy for $50 a month. You can go to my YouTube. We drop a lot of game there. It's Bella Sloan Enterprises on YouTube. Or you can actually sign up for Bella Sloan Academy, and we do live coaching calls every single Wednesday night at bellasloanacademy.com.
Awesome. That's fantastic. All right, guys, there you have it. Highly encourage you to go check out everything he was just talking about. And Herman Dolce, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Will.